And the courage of these two women to share their stories with the group they don't know because they have a passion for ending homelessness, I ask that you receive it with respect and honor.
I was first introduced into homelessness because I aged out of foster care.
I became homeless not knowing what homeless was. I became homeless at the age of 16.
My social worker sat me down and she said, "Hey, what are you gonna do when you turn 18? And I was like, "I don't know, what do you mean? I'm still gonna be in the group home." She said, "No, you're not, you're turning 18, you can't live here anymore." And the day before my 18th birthday, I was given a blue duffel bag to pack, and then they opened the doors of the group home and I was just left on the street.
Little by little, my mom, she stopped coming. She would leave the weekend and not come back for the whole weekend or a week. And one day she didn't come back.
From that point on, I've spent the last 10 years trying to get out of being homeless. I have lived on the streets. I wasn't fortunate enough to have a tent. I've had to sleep in archways. I've had to sleep at bus stops. I've had to dig in the trash for food. I've had to beg people for money.
I've had nights where I had to push my kid on a stroller and I wasn't sleeping, but they were in the stroller. And I was sleeping in cars, and for 3 months, I lived in an abandoned apartment with no gas or electricity, and that's like to me was like hitting rock bottom, but I was like, didn't know what to do. I had no one, and speaking about it was something I didn't know how to do. I just couldn't, and I felt so selfish for having my kids on the side, pushing them in the stroller in a cold night, and having to bathe them in like 2 heat sources where the generators plugged into the garage, which the gas just smelled so bad. I thought I was gonna pass out every time I had to turn that thing on. And to warm up 2 pots, enough for them to have a little bath, and that was it. I had to take a cold shower because I felt like, don't warm yourself, just deal with it. You have to be really strong and believe in yourself, because people turn to drugs for this kind of stuff, and I've seen so many people lose themselves.
People assume things about you that are not true. People look at you a certain way. You have to make sure that you maintain your safety, because there are people that are sexually assaulted out there. I was fortunate enough not to have that happen to me, but it's all too common that it does happen. You have to make sure that your children are safe. So a lot of times I didn't even sleep.
It was the scariest moment in my life, and I'm happy that I'm able to speak upon it, because she's right. I'm not the only one. I'm not unique.
And every single person that you see in a tent, every single person that you see in an encampment, every single person that you see sleeping on a bus stop, in an archway, at the train station, they each have a story, and something contributed to that. There are people who choose to live that way, but majority of them didn't.
I'm here because I know for a fact that there's infants in our streets. And it's not only infants, there's disabled people, elder people, young people, 16-year-olds who are so scared out there.
And it's our obligation to help them. The only glimmer of hope that I had was Alexandria House. They had to reassure me that I was safe, reassure me that I was going to be okay, reassure me that I would get out of it.
I'm forever grateful for the Alexandria House. The Alexandria House saved my life.
I just recently started. I'm a freshman at Penn State World Campus, so I go to school online now.
I had dropped out of high school, and I'm a high school graduate now, so I'm happy. And I plan on going to nursing school. I've already accomplished a bartending school.
That's my story, and I just wanted to make you guys aware of that, just to put a different face on homelessness.
There's a lot of people that you don't know that are homeless. I get all the time, you were homeless for that long, or like, you're in a shelter. When I was living in a shelter, we are not all, look stereotypic, look-alike homeless. We don't look the same. We're not all the same. We're all people, whether we have our house or not. We need more housing. It's a serious issue.
I just want to say that really consider what it is that's being said here, because it's more than just your comfortability. These are people's futures that you're talking about.
Being homeless was my choice? No, it wasn't. And I fight every day to make sure that I will never go back to being homeless ever again. Thank you, Judy.
from tonight, I think people were I think definitely they were shifted to hear people's story, to put a face to homelessness, right? That it's not just like this drug addict under the freeway, that it's like these really strong women that have overcome homelessness. I think I saw it happen in this room. I think some people were like jumping to conclusions without actually hearing what people were going to actually say.
From where I sit, I'm frustrated because I don't see a lot of change. I don't see it fast enough. And frankly, I haven't heard enough about what is going on.
This woman, it seemed like she instantly became an advocate for foster care youth, right? Like she wanted to dig more and more.
Those models, like these ladies said, it takes a community. If you came to people in Mount Washington and said, we're going to build a downtown women's center model or an Alexandria House model, I think people would be more open to it.
But I just have to say, these homes are being proposed, and then they're being opposed by the community. Exactly what you're saying is being proposed throughout. So the city has an initiative to build 10,000 units throughout the whole entire city of Los Angeles, and each council district, so we have 15, we're in CD1 now, each council district has divided those 10,000 units to include 222 units in each district. So they are being proposed throughout the city, and they're being opposed for the misconceptions of who will come in, right? And it's really just neighbors.
Because the number one barrier, besides that we still are dealing with a finite resources, is political will and community acceptance.
If you put someone in front of you who says, you know, I'm homeless right now, how are you going to yell those horrible things that we heard, very cruel things that we heard in Venice yesterday?
It was more, first of all, it was an honor to be here and hear you. I just want to say that both of you was terrific and very informative, very informative.
Got a little emotional, but it's understandable.
It works, it's good. A large percentage of the people who are on the street are also addicted. How do you deal with that in terms of an overall approach to the homeless problem?
Being on the street is extremely hard. Having everything and then going to nothing is traumatizing to deal with. So addiction is how you cope. It's how you make it another day. It's how you keep going. And I'm not justifying that, but an answer to addiction and how you deal with addicts is you provide them housing, you provide them stability, you provide mental health services, you provide them Narcotics Anonymous, you provide them supportive services so that they can feel safe enough to come out of this. Because no one experiencing trauma wants to release the thing that makes them feel safe.
So I think that's where our role to build the advocates in this room and to get them to support, really change people's hearts and minds about what this means. I think those would definitely shift the conversations. At least I would like to hope so, because I think I saw it in this room.